Hello, everybody. I may get started off just a little bit earlier today. Well, it's not too much earlier, but it's about 5 minutes earlier anyway. And got a few chats, and I just wanted to acknowledge Petra Gunther from Germany, who's on YouTube, says good morning. And also 𝗍𝗙𝗢𝗡𝗡. Thanks, Kate. She sent for sending me 200 stars before the stream even started. So good to have you here. And also we've got Margaret McFadden here as well from Melbourne. So it's going to be a good one today. I've got a bunch of reference pictures, and you might have noticed I've also uploaded a bonus reference photo, which I may go ahead and do at the end, depending if we have enough time, if I sort of feel like it, as well, as long as I've still got the motivation to go through with it. Sometimes get into a bit of a trance and I can just keep on going. So I wanted to do that third one if I do get an opportunity to. So love to hear who's in today. So I can see that there's quite a few on Facebook. There's also a few on YouTube. So let me know how you're doing, whereabouts you're watching from, whether this is your first time. So in case you haven't come to one of these before, my name's Darren, and I'm basically an artist over in Melbourne, Victoria. I run a bunch of these free workshops every week, and essentially I go through different reference photos, some of them based on suggestions made by viewers, and some of them just because I want to try out a new sort of scene. So let me know how you're going, and I'm just gonna make sure everything's set up okay before we get started. So just give me one moment. You sort of spammy comments. Just get rid of those. Righto. So I'm going to get started with this one, and basically the first thing I'll do is this kind of forest season. It's very simple, sort of scene in comparison to a lot of other stuff that I've been doing. And I think it functions well as a kind of warm up, a nice little warm up. And see if I can get in this light effect as well. So if you sort of look at the middle of the reference photo, you can see bits of light, rays of light sort of cutting through the trees. And I think I was sort of thinking about how I was going to do this, and I'll probably do that kind of later on, and while the paint's almost dry, just lift out some of those bits there. We'll see how we go. But let's go ahead and get started. And I've got the reference photo up, and I'll go through just a little sketch of it as well. This is a sketchbook that I put together. It's a interesting little sketchbook. I basically put this together from 3 different sheets of paper. So yeah, three full sheets of watercolor paper, and I've just torn them down, stitched them together, and put a cover on. You can do this yourself. I do have other sketchbooks also from 𝗬𝗙𝗔𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗦, but I thought this is a nice little touch for my sketchbook. This was actually a shirt that I used to wear when I was in my early 20s. So I don't wear it anymore, but I think it's a nice little touch. So let's just going to double check everything. Got a few again. I've just got some annoying spammy sort of links coming on. Every now and then this happens. Unfortunately, we get a few people that just post just some links to some rubbish sites and stuff like that. So every time I see them, I just go and quickly delete them off. Make sure no one clicks on the things that also get in the way of the chats. But I think we should be good to go and good to get started. This is the only sketch that I've actually done in this sketchbook I don't know if you can, how well you can see this. It's a little urban scene that I did in half an hour. But I'm going to be painting on this side to begin with. And I'll just minimize everything now. Let me know if you can hear me okay, and also if the picture quality is all good. How we doing? Lindsay says, bit wet here in Melbourne. Yep, I'm looking out the window now, and it's sort of start and stop the rain, and it was funny because it was yesterday or the day before, it was really warm, something like nearly 30 degrees, and I was out in Brunswick, and really nice. I did some art supply shopping over there, and went out to a little cafe, which was really nice. Haven't done that for a long time, so fantastic. I'll just give me one moment. Again, I'm just having some of these spammy sort of posts coming up on Facebook. I'm going to delete them off. It's only me sort of operating this this whole thing today, so I'm kind of having to multitask, and when you get these spammy kind of links coming through, just make sure that I get rid of them as soon as I can. It's really annoying. I've reported it to Facebook, but apparently it's something that a lot of people who stream on Facebook get. Yeah, so it's at 6 o'clock. I'm almost done getting rid of all of these. Of course, I've got Matt here. Nice to see you on the screen. Thanks, Matt. And yeah, I figured out how to connect up the other camera, and there's a program that I use. Jesus, how many of these spammy links are there on here? This is really doing my head in. Okay, if you guys see any of these weird links that pop up during the stream, look, just don't click on them. The only links that you should click on are ones that I pop up in there. Otherwise, yeah, don't click on those links. For some reason, I just can't remove some of these. Apologies for that. I'm gonna do my best and get started. Just only take it. Jesus. Shock's laughing. We've got Shock on the chats as well. This happened last time, and Shock was there as well. Kate says, thanks, Darren. Enjoy your classes. We've also got Mona from Finland. Good on you. Good on you, Mona. Good to see you again today. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Apologies for this. I just want to delete off as many of these links as I can. I don't know what I can do other than just delete them off and block the people. Okay. We've also got, so Choc says, Malaysia 3 p.m, taking a break from working from home. Fantastic, Choc. Nothing better than having a nice little wind down session where you're painting and taking your mind off, taking your mind off work, I suppose. So good to hear from you. Okay, look, guys, I'm gonna just get started. Okay, I think I've gotten rid of all those, or most of those little bits and pieces coming up in the chats, as much as I can anyway. So let's go ahead and start with the sketch. So really simple with this one. All you want to do is just draw a line across here, just above where that figure is and where the trees in the background touch the ground. So, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly as here, but as in the reference, but I'm saying it's about a third, little bit less than a third of the way down the page. I'm just going to put this through here. And I know a lot of people, they do have troubles painting with green. They're just not sure how to get started with the greens, how to make it look basically get a bit more depth in here. So I'm going to go through some of the tips that I use, and we'll simplify this one down. We've also got, we've got a tree running up the side here. One sort of large shape. Really, there's not all that much drawing that we need in here. The horizon line does the trick, the vanishing point, and then we've got part of the scene which kind of comes in, and the path, so the path which sort of comes in like that, and then we've got another side of the path that comes in here, finishes off around about the center of the scene here. So I'm being very, very loose with that. We've also got a figure kind of walking in the distance like that. Very small figure, just put in just a little indication of that figure in there, maybe walking towards us or walking away. Looks like there's some type of hole here. Oh, actually, this is a tree which goes all the way up. And then we've got a larger tree that comes through here as well. We've got some branches, things like that. Okay, really they're just little verticals and reminding me to make sure that I include some of them. But there's not all that much we need to put in here. I mean, we can even add in a few other things here if we want to, like some poles. But I think we'll give this a crack, and this is a kind of exercise as well for you guys to practice some of your wet in wet painting, getting in some different tones for your greens, using different greens. And I've got a few new colors on my palette today. Let me just check. Let me just see how we're going. So we've got yeah. So here I've got a bit of ultramarine, got some moon glow. I've got a bit of neutral tint, Payne's grey. I can't remember what this one's called. It's a bit of violet and also a bit of lavender, which is going to be interesting. I've got a bit of this color here from Art Spectrum called red Australian red gold, which is kind of a quinacridone gold, but it's a very interesting color. You can almost get like a brownish color, then it turns into a really nice transparent yellow. So this is going to be interesting to sort of play around with some of these new pigments as well, and try them out. So it's the same sort of deal for this session as the other workshops. If you have any questions, put your name down in the chats. Just write a message in there, and I will get to them as soon as I check them, essentially. So now I'm gonna just double check I've got in a moment. Let's just double check that everything's going okay in the chats. Righto. I think we are all pretty good. We've also got here. It's a bit of a pain, but there are some again, I'm just trying to get rid of some of these spammy sort of comments that are coming through. It's like they just know when I'm going to go live, and then together send a bunch of these rubbishy messages through. So not a problem. Righto. So I've got myself a bit of this green. It's a bit of sap green. But before I put that in, I'm going to just pre-wet everything. So this is just a mop brush that I've got. So just a bit of color, not really color, but just water running through the page here. Okay. And the thing is, if you start off with the yellows, then you're basically going to be able to get in a bit of that sunlight peeking through in some of the areas. So I'm just going to go through and wet pretty much the entire sheet down. You can even go over that figure. Okay. I do leave some areas as well here, just little bits of white peeking through the paper. So from here, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that nice, that new color that I have, which is just that red gold color. It's a quinacridone color. And we'll drop in a bit here, there. I'm just having a look to see how that appears. It's a nice sort of golden color. And And just over here is where we've got a bit of sunlight peeking through. It's also nice if you've got some other color, a little bit of yellow here, which is just some lemon yellow. Just drop that in as well, like that. A lot of this is just wet onto wet sort of work. Okay, but I do notice it does get slightly cooler in some areas of the sky as well. I've got some lavender, and I think this would be like a perfect bit of color to put in there. And just drop a bit into the sky areas like that. Let it kind of blend and mix a little bit like that. I don't want it to really overwhelm the scene, but just a bit in there, a kind of cool, slightly cooler color through that mix. If you don't have lavender, which is really just a new color I've only picked up over the weekend, then use a bit of cerulean blue. That's pretty much, it's fairly similar. Or also some manganese blue hue also works quite well. So what we're doing there, basically here at this stage, is that we're just dropping in a little bit of color. So it's nothing, nothing too difficult in terms of detailing or anything like that. Just a little bit of color. Bring up that reference photo again. And we'll look at other areas where we have some warmth. So on the ground, we've got a bit of warmth here, and just a bit here. On the trees here as well, we've got a bit of warmth, and it's kind of a green. There's a bit of green in there as well. So a tiny bit of that running through. As we come down, and remember a lot of this stuff we're going to mix, we can mix sort of in with some of the green as well. I think that's a good amount of yellow running through, and bring that all the way across the edge like that. Bit here, bit there. It's amazing how much of the painting you can get done if you just try to paint a lot of it wet into wet, especially for a softer scene like this. Makes it more fun to do. And I'll also grab myself a bit of this sap green and drop in some areas here. So there's a bit here just near the path, a bit of sap green there, a bit here. I have other greens as well. So I do have a bit of this, is it really just emerald green here on the side, especially where it gets quite dark. It's a good idea to try to pick up some of this stuff and darken it off down the edges like that. Okay, we've also got a bit more sap green around here. So I'm trying not to go into the path just yet. I'm gonna do it in a moment, but I want that path to dry off a little bit before I kind of continue on. A bit here as well near the sky as well, around the edge, because we've got a bit of that section of leaves and that sort of thing. A little bit of brown also won't hurt. So if you've got some earth colors, you can drop that in. Okay, but most of it is really just green, and that's the goal here, just to put in bits and pieces of that. Yeah, I might even, you can grab another brush and do a bit of this tapping as well to get in some, basically pick up a bit of paint and then just tap it in like that, and we can get in some little sort of effects like this, okay, to indicate leaves and stuff like that. So we really just want softness in this entire wash. We don't want anything that's going to be like a hard edge. All the softer sort of edges, and when I say soft edges, I mean this sort of stuff here where it essentially has an undefined edge. And if you've got some neutral tint, you can pick some up and drop areas of that in even now in the corners if you want to imply a little bit of darkness and that sort of thing there as well. Bit of brown here in the edges like that. Right over there, all wet into wet. which is quite nice. That I'll leave as well. And having a look around, probably around here as well, I would like some green. So I've got some Hooker's green, and interesting because this area is actually kind of darker than some of the trees even here, but these go straight up like that. And notice I've used a bit of dry brush as well. Okay, so I've just picked up a bit of paint and then used the side of the brush to imply some of these leaves and things reaching up into the sky. We can also, while we're at it, just drop in some darker segments in here like that and let that sort of melt its way through. There's even some areas here on that right hand side, just in here, which are very softer kind of dark areas as well. Okay, so there we go. We've got a bit of some trees and stuff. We've got a bit over here as well that we can darken off on the left hand side, just a little bit of darkness on that left hand side using the side of that brush. Okay, it would also be nice if I get in some more sap green just around here, slightly darker. Great. And there's no rush for all this at all. I kind of wait for part of it to dry, and then we can go through and get in some sharper shapes for the trunks and things like that. So I'm gonna go have a look. How are we all doing in the chats? It's a smaller sort of crowd today. I know it's a midweek kind of session, so let me know how you're going. It looks like we've got a fair few watching on Facebook, but I know the chat last time I had an issue with the chat, and it just stuffed up halfway, and it doesn't help when we've got some of these sometimes these sort of spammy posts that run through it. So let me know how you're doing. I'm just going to let this dry off very, very slightly. And while that's happening, I'm see if I can just double check the chats, make sure everything's going okay. Let me just have a quick look. Okay, just clean up. I'm just going to go clean up these chats a little bit. Bugging me. And later on, what we'll do after this one, we're going to also go through this scene that I really want to paint, draw and paint. And I've left it off for quite some time because I haven't done it before, but it's a scene of the Rialto market in Venice, and beautiful sort of scene. So I'm really interested in to give that a go, and hopefully it works. So I think we're all good. I think the chats are all good. Fantastic. Righto. And I'll continue on. So what we want to do here, now parts of it have already dried, especially here around the top. If you do feel that you want a little bit more wetness in here, I always recommend using a little spray bottle like this and fill that up with some water. I'm just trying to get here on the side. Basically, you can just spray that down to some of the areas to soften. Here, feel like you just need a bit more time, or you can drop in a bit of few little bits and pieces in there, especially to let it sort of bloom in areas as well, to create another additional area of contrast. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is again just start to pick up a little bit more of this green. I've got Hooker's green, I've got emerald green, but if you don't have those greens, just mix in any other blue with your green. If it's like an ultramarine or a cobalt blue, you can mix in a little bit with a lighter green, and that's going to create some interesting sort of colors, darker greens as well, which are going to help you. So around here, you know, we've got some darkness just behind this tree or this sort of bush over here. So I'm going to try to emphasize that slightly, and also do this wet into wet more so than the actual reference. Okay, so just a bit like that, peeking through a little bit and coming through like that. And if you feel like your brush is too large, just, you know, swap over to another one. This is actually a little fan brush, and that allows me to get in a bit of this sort of very, very quick sort of marks on the page, and have them look a bit more random as well. I've actually dropped in a bit of neutral tint there as well, just to darken down that green a little. I'm hoping to emphasize some of the light on the side here just coming through. So I know that it comes all the way down here, cuts around the figure a bit, like that, but not a huge deal. Bit there, and then it sort of goes up, joins on the ground. The interesting thing is that the light pattern essentially just runs across the floor, and I'm going to get a tiny bit of purple, a purplish sort of color, to see if I can do some of this stuff here. Okay, so just a bit of this sort of pattern here in the ground, right? And remember to leave in areas of the light showing through as well, something like that. Okay, a lot of it's sort of on the bush here as well, which sort of joins on like that. There. Okay, fantastic. And maybe a bit more here. That figure is going to have to, certainly going to have to be put in darker later on, but I did want to get this nice dark sort of effect like that. Also putting in the bush, or the or whatever they are here, which are helping to cast that shadow, like that. Here. What else do we have? We've got bits and pieces through here. I'm going to grab myself a smaller brush. Where is it? I've got just a number 6 round brush, and I'm going to use this round brush to get in, hopefully, some indications of the trunks and things here in the distance. So just a bit of brown, and I'll drop that onto the page like that. How does that look? Probably a tad too saturated. I'm going to get some neutral tint, just a bit of neutral tint, and dull that down a little. Okay, and we can bring in a bit like that, yeah. Just some tree shapes off in the distance, like that. Okay, what else do we have? Maybe if I use a smaller brush, this might work better. Okay. Some downward strokes like that, and I don't want them also to be too dark as well, because if I have them too dark, it's just going to draw too much attention to that background area. Okay, just some verticals running through, okay, like that. And if the paint is the paper is still sort of wet at the back, it also helps with this, so that it doesn't sort of disperses the paint a little bit as well. Okay, so a little bit running through there. I'm just trying as much as I can to get in, yeah, just some wet and wet sort of brush strokes and things. Okay, now here on that right hand side, I'm going to put in a large kind of tree shape just running through. I mean, it just comes all the way through up the top here like that, and finishes down the side like this. We've also got another sort of tree shape that goes up here, and let's have a look. It just sort of, again, it just finishes off the top there, and notice how I've got little bits of this dry brush running through as well. Just leave that, let it be. I think it looks nice actually if we have a bit of that dry brush running through. Sort of looks like the sun's catching on to part of that area. So here I've got another tree shape running through, coming down towards the ground. Maybe another one here, well, like that. Good thing is we can get in some of this still wet and wet kind of work running through here. Actually running through this area where it's kind of, there's a sharpness. Actually there. Good. Okay, more darkness at the base here. I'm just going to have a quick look at the chats. Look at the chats. Oh, God. We have Nathalie. So Nathalie says, "Good morning, Darren. I don't have any sound. Does anyone else have this problem?" Nathalie, there's, if you look on the right hand, of course, you're not going to be able to hear me. Let me just type it in here. Bottom, in a moment. Check. Okay. Sound. Yeah, so all good. Looks like Margaret saying, trying to water my color down so much more, but my paper is very wet. Yeah. This is a good little exercise to practice some of your wet and wet. And I think the sort of getting used to, I guess, losing control in some of these areas and practicing, you've got an area where it's really wet or an area that's slightly wet, and then changing it around to see how the paper reacts. So will put you out of your comfort zone a little bit for sure. Maria Julia Scard says, "Hi, enjoying this video. We'll paint later." Awesome, Maria, and good to see you popping on for a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna continue and let's have a quick look. So again, little bits of the tree and things like that. I'm gonna have some fun with again, and using a larger brush like this and neutral tint there, like that. Another thing is that we do have some bits and pieces of darker and a green running through here, which we can, and I'm just going to pick up a bit of color and just tap that through like that. Okay, a little bit of that. That's going to just basically imply some leaves and textures and things. So just a quick way to do it. So tiny bit through here especially as well, and go through here, tiny bit here, like that. Yeah. Get a bit through here at the base as well. Yeah. The left-hand side, I do want to get some type of structure going through just a bit of the trunk, so I can also just do something like this, getting a bit of that quick kind of trunk shape coming in from the side, and smaller brush smaller brush to pick up a bit of paint and then go through to get in some areas of branches and stuff like that. Well, that okay, and then I'm gonna just drop in some more of that, a little bit more of some sap green as well through here, just tapping on slightly like this. I don't usually like to do this because it's quite a messy sort of effect, but not really do much in this sort of case. Some of this as well in the background, it helps. So I've picked up a tiny bit of sap green and then I've just tapped it into this section here, and you're going to get, if you look at it, just micro blooms essentially, where it's where bits of that little clumps of green create some highlights. So something really quick like that. Okay. And this section here, I think I'll just get in a bit more darkness around this part like that. I do like this section there where we've got some light effects running through. Just trying to see how can we further emphasize what's going on. Maybe the edges here, I could put in some more darkness, a bit more green here as well. Darken things off like this. They're pretty dark on the edges there. Good. Okay. And I've got myself, again, this little brush, number, it's a number 4, it's a number 4, it says here. So again, just to put in some indications of branches and things running through the scene. You also do get ones running all the way down from the back like that, just little ones that you can barely see off in the distance. So a few little verticals like that. Yeah, that's always nice. Okay, bit running through there. It's that build up of detail and takes a little bit of time for you to start seeing something emerge from there. I think I'll actually just mop up this section a little with my brush, a little mop brush here. Something like, just get off a bit of that paint. I think I've overdone it a bit. Okay. And have a look, what else do we want to do? Now the little highlights and things in here, I'll go in with some gouache at the end just to get some of that in. Okay. I'm going to just enjoy drawing in some of these branches and things here for these trees in the foreground. And make it a bit more stated than it actually looks in the reference. But a combination of wet and wet, also some wet on dry there for that tree. There, this one kind of cuts through there, and just disappears through this thick undergrowth of pieces. Greens running through as well, like that. Okay. Now grab myself just this little brush, little fan brush. I will put in some tiny little strands of grass and things here near the base, and even over here. Oops. Just to define the edges a bit more. Okay, I'll give this a little a quick little dry, but also I also will get a tissue to mop up this section a bit because I think I've got too much on there. Just lift off some of that paint like that. Yeah, and give it a dry. I think what I'll do is actually go over it a second time, get that last layer on, see if it see if we can just add that extra tiny bit extra detail for this. Give it a quick try. Okay, and we've also got Lillian van Heerwaarden from Thailand. Good to see you, Lillian. Welcome to the stream. I think most of this looks fine. I do like this area here that's sort of created a bloom effect. This bit here, I think I've just gone a bit overboard. But what I'll do is add in another layer over the top. Let's see if we can get that sort of shadow effect running through a bit better. I've gone, I think I've done this a little too loose in that section, but let's see how we go. And what I will do is I think I'll actually pick up a flat brush for this. Got some green, so I can put in a little bit of green running through here. Okay, like this. There. Leaving in some little highlights and stuff in these sort of bushes and what have you. A bit more darkness at the base here, especially where we kind of have the path. I think this is going to be quite important to, again, just outline a bit more of that path leading into the scene. It just doesn't look defined enough really at this point for me to call it. So some darkness around here, a bit around that figure as well, kind of extending along into the back of the painting. Soften it off as we get to this section as well. I don't want to interrupt that lovely soft wash there in the background. Okay. So a bit of darkness there, here, section through here. Well, maybe some softer shapes over here, just of the branches and things coming through. Right. More dark paint. Okay. I'm going to redo these shadows again, just this one last time. A little bit of purple perhaps, just running through there. And a tree or a branch, just running up, a couple more running up here as well. Pretty dark sort of paint. Okay. This is kind of dried a bit strangely. Drop in some more color there in the back. You always run the risk of that when you go over an area too many times. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll just show you a little trick that I use as well. I pick up basically first we'll use the fan brush. This will make this a bit quicker. So with the fan brush, you put in little lines this on top of the other bits and pieces to indicate some shrubs, foliage, that kind of thing, especially around the edge of the path. I think this is helpful. Just a bit here, a few strokes going upwards. There, we do have a figure still over there in the distance. Pretty. Yep. Rid of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just getting some dry brush strokes running through some of these areas, kind of thing. You know, if you've got a little rigger brush as well, again, this can help. You want to put in some other branches and bits and pieces running through this area. Use these types of scenes to just practice trees, essentially, branches and little brush strokes that I use. More sharper looking ones in the distance. more sharper looking branch shapes running through as well. The tree coming out the sides and edges. Right. We want that. That off. I think a bit of water just mixed into this as well would be nice. Just get in a few little blooms and bits and pieces running through. Good. Now, last thing that I want to do is dry it off and put in some gouache and get in that figure. Especially here, it's just not dried, so I'm not going to be able to put that figure in. I hope that figure will then give a bit of context to what everything else seems. So, grab that hairdryer again. Mute the Alrighty. Now, got this fan brush, I said before, and I have gouache. So I just mix up a little bit of this gouache on the palette beforehand, and that allows me to just mix in some of these other greens with it and get some little highlights and effects like this running through the scene. So something like this we can put in just to get in some highlights and bits of grass and things running through here. Create some little contrasts where maybe the sun catches on to some of these blades of grass and things like that. Leaves, for example, in this scene. So it's kind of just like almost going over the top of everything again and recovering some of the light. That maybe a bit over here as well. Yeah. Here. Here. Here on the path. Like that. Bit there. Okay. I'm going to try to put in that figure now. We've got areas maybe for his legs there. Just very simple like that for a couple of legs. And then the top, we're going to put him in. We need to get some color in for his tops. So let's go with some. Go with a bit of reddish color. Really, it doesn't matter all that much. A bit of red in here, maybe with neutral tint. This just looks like he's kind of walking off there into the distance. And a little touch of color for the head as well there. Indicate that he's kind of walking over in that direction, and a bit of the shadow. It's also sort of coming in from the left-hand side. It's okay. I think that's decent for a little warm-up. I think I've also made a slight mess over on this side, but I do like those little trees that I've put in here as well. So I don't think there's anything else that I really want to do here. Probably go back into it again and maybe tidy up a few bits and pieces. But I'm going to go have a quick look. All good. I'm going to continue on, and let me know. Let me know if you guys have any questions or anything as well. But I'll switch over now. I'll just give this a really quick dry so that it flows the book. Alrighty. So this next scene here is something I haven't really tried before. It's an experimental kind of scene. And I'm going to change it up a little bit as well. I'll have just change off the reference photo. Put it on screen. Where is it? Oops. It is here. Okay. The reference is also in the discussions section. Also, if you have a look from the on YouTube, it's in. I've pinned it up on YouTube as well in the chats if you're wondering where it is. Comment from Ellen Ray Dunning says looks great from Adelaide. Thank you. Thanks, Ellen Ray. And I think it's always good, especially if you're, if you're lenient towards one type of painting where you're looking, getting real sort of detailed and, I guess more structured in terms of what you're drawing. Could be man-made sort of objects. I always like to go almost to opposite ends of the spectrum and loosen up and then start trying to, draw things that are a bit more rigid. So I'm going to give this one a crack and I'll go through my sort of steps. And this reference picture, I'm going to change up a bit as well because I feel while it's, we've got a lot of details and things in here, the view isn't also ideal. I do want to get a bit more of that door in. That it's kind of like it's like an open doorway arch there with a bit of curtain hanging down at the right hand side. But I'm gonna try to extend this out a bit further. Maybe even get rid of this pole in the center. So I'm gonna firstly start picking out a few pens. I've got a 0.5 liner. I've also got a few others. I've got maybe a 0.3, and go with a 0.8 as well for good measure. But I will start perhaps with a 0.5. It's just a nice little one to begin with, kind of a middle ground. And like I said, I do want to change up this reference photo a bit because I feel like it will look a bit nicer. If we have firstly, the scene moves, we have a bit more of the foreground, and then also we've got a bit more of the right-hand side of the reference as well. So, grab if you've got your reference photo, just pop it up and I'll go through it and have the video playing in another window or something like that. I think some of you guys have iPads and things that help out. There's also a comment from Nathalie. Nathalie says, back again, sound okay. Awesome. Cool. Hope that it must have fixed up. Sometimes when you start videos, they just start muted on Facebook. I don't know why, but good that you can hear now. So I will get cracking and look, I'll check the chats every now and then to make sure everything's going okay. So what I want to do for this one is I just want to make sure again I have enough room here in the foreground, and we'll start off by putting in just an area. So if we imagine underneath the curtains, where the curtains sort of touch the ground, almost about here. So I'm going to just draw a line. It's almost like a third of the way up the page. Quick little line running across like that. And now just also have a look and see if we can again extend out that right hand side. So with this pole, not the one kind of closest to us, but this one over here, I'm thinking I might actually move it somewhere around here, almost like the 3/4 way of the 2/3 of the way through the page, or just about halfway through. So it's actually here in the reference. It's almost 3/4 of the way. 3/4 of the way through, but we're going to just move it closer to halfway. That's what I meant to say. Half on for today. So I'm going to outline just really basically where it is. Okay, it's a lot going on. There's so much going on in here. So I just want to be careful as well. So that's one of the kind of poles, and we know it comes down, around about here. We can change the pole a bit as well if it's too much. So it's, if it's too wide, sorry, if it's too sort of narrow, we can extend it out. A little bit of the side of that pole as well, like this here, the pillar. Let's have a look kind of where it stops on the ceiling, and then we've got a section of that of it on the right hand side here. And that kind of runs up like this, connects onto that side there. Great, and a bit here just on the floor, so where it's sort of the pillar is at. Now this one here, this is a real annoying sort of one. I don't know whether we'll add it in actually, because it kind of I don't know, it kind of bisects the scene a little too much. I think having a couple, another one, for example, coming out the back, another pillar coming out the back here would be fine, but one here, yeah, there's just something about it that I don't like in the composition. It's just too obvious, just segments the scene. So we don't have to put it in there if we don't want to. Now, again, this is a market, and it actually, in the reference photo, it comes all the way down here in the front. But because I'm wanting to change this up slightly, I'm also just going to move it forwards a bit. And what I like to do is also draw some little perspective lines to get myself started. So there, we're kind of imagining a point up here where we're drawing all these lines to here. Okay, and that's going to help with the perspective. Okay, just all kind of lines emanating from this point here. And I think I might actually start the pillar here as well. So we've got a large area here. We might put in another pillar with some shadows cutting across too, just to sort of change it up. But let's go ahead. I'm going to start drawing in a bit of this section for the area where this guy is standing. Okay, so have a look. We're going to have it a bit higher up like this, actually. There's all kinds of bits and pieces in here. I think this is a fish market as well. So, just a bit in here for the time being. I can go in and detail later. But really, I just want to put in a section of this area like that. Okay. There. And of course, it kind of joins onto the ground. These little supporting bits like that. There, kind of thing. We do have a guy who's in here as well. If I have a look a little bit closer to the scene, we've got kind of a shade or like a light on top actually. So we can go and just draw in a few of these shapes. That, yeah. Have a light or something on top there. There's another bit running down there. That, another light or something here, and a couple of poles running down like that. And we've also got this guy who's underneath in that section too. So I will actually extend this further up, a bit further up. Maybe also start getting in some of these other bits here in the back where we've got the other stalls and things as well, so that I've got an idea of whereabouts to begin, door and things like that here at the back too. So let's have a look. finishes off there, and then we've got just extend this out a bit. That. Actually, this should be a little bit, this should actually be a little bit higher, but I'll see what I can do. I think I might be able to fix this up a little bit later. Just draw that guy coming through. So yeah, or you want to just draw another line kind of here where it's bisecting the page. Couple this little points up here and the little kind of lights running across the top. Yeah, this one on the left should actually be slightly higher, but it doesn't matter. Look, I'm going to just change this up. This could be maybe another kind of structure or something here. We'll make this a bit bigger, and the guy, put the guy through like this. Yeah, shirt, shoulders there, and we'll have just again this kind of vest that he's got on. That doing something there, and coming forwards here. Well, and that shirt like that there, and further down. So looks all right. It could be just a section in the back or something like that. But that light now is just where we essentially want it to be. Okay, there, kind of shining downwards. And I'll hatch away at part of his jacket as well, just create some little bit of darkness there. He's got some kind of glasses on, which I'll just indicate. Nose, mouth as well here. Bit of hair like this. Okay, maybe some ears as well, like that. Okay, really just a lot of, I think these might be prawns or just bits of seafood here. Okay, there. Bit more line work going through there. Be good as well. When you, yeah, essentially when you're changing the perspective of a scene, you always run into issues like this because you're not drawing directly off the reference photo. You're sort of, in a sense, making it up as you go. So, I will also start putting in a few other figures, walking through the scene. I mean, we can have a person here, maybe off here in the distance. This, make them a little teeny bit smaller like that. Okay, just a little bit smaller, that or something like that on. Because remember again, this guy is probably standing on some type of stool or who knows what. We've got a few other. Let's put in a few other figures here as well. Maybe we've got another one here walking towards us, and here's a leg. Here's another leg, like that. Quick indication. If I can also get a few more figures just standing in front. This could be, for example, a lady standing here and holding on to some type of a shopping bag on the side like this. Okay. That. The legs, little legs. That. Facing the store. Might be another one here. Well, just having a walk through like that. Okay, good. Yeah, we're just trying to do everything in front first. It's just going to be easier. Like always, having the stuff in front done. Look, how are we doing? And I also have other, if other little mini references that I search up just on, Google Images and things like that, so that I can, put in a figure not necessarily sort of in this scene, but I've got for example, I've got a guy I'm going to sketch in. Looks like he's got a hood or something. Put that in like that, and then an arm going towards the back there, there, and what have we got? We've got a section here. Could be carrying on to some kind of bag or something, but he's walking into the scene, and he's holding on here to one of these shopping carts. Okay, so something like this, which is going to just bring a bit of interest into what's going on here. I'll get a bit of the side of it like that, so it looks 3D. And again, foot coming out. This foot's coming out towards the front. The other foot you're not going to really be able to see. So something like that. Maybe he's wearing a cap as well. There. Okay, just shade that down a bit more like that. The ones in the back you don't have to worry because they're so further off into the distance, so it's not a big deal. Let's have a look back at the reference. Here in the market, we might have another person over here actually. There, facing downwards. There, could be doing something behind like that. Yeah, barely visible. There, picking up something in there. Okay. Now I want to get in some of these pillars, these poles and things like that as well. So I know they, yeah, I'm still sort of thinking whether I should put one in here or perhaps one just a bit closer, like around here. But again, I don't want to, I don't want it to bisect everything, but it would be nice to maybe get in, if I did get one in here, we could at least get in a shadow cast, cast onto this, onto the stall as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'll decide for that one later. Actually, we don't have to decide right now. Bit of that. There, the market stalls just having these little bits of these sort of sections here. Well, underneath food and sort of thing. Might have a person behind the stall there, another person here. This. And another person maybe here. Maybe walking over into that right hand side area as well. Get in this pole. Yeah, just a smaller one. Runs behind the shop. But small sort of pillar. This. Yep. Vertical lines. This. And look. Some of this stuff here as well. Okay, bit of the rooftop really, which is kind of goes up, and then I don't know. I think it must go down at the other side. I'm having to have to imagine what happens here. I think we'll just go across that. Yeah. Look. Okay, so we can get in the side of this area. So I know we can go like something like that maybe. Okay, and then we can get in this pillars, nicely sort of shaped pillar there. It runs down like that, that there, and then we've got come straight down like that. Okay, and then we've got again this arch, this opening here, which is going to be good to get in a sense of light. Okay, so also got again this curtain that's running down. I'm gonna go ahead and indicate where that is. Okay, be rolled up here like that. Cool. Structure there. Have a look. I'll replicate it on this side and have again this other decorative pillar coming out like that, forming that shape there, something like that, and then just running down to the ground, all the way down to somewhere here. Perhaps it finishes off around here, yeah? Okay, there we go, bit of that pillar. And then we can now finish off this section of the curtain. I think will look a bit more, make a bit more sense. Okay, that looks all right. Redo this bit as well. But good. Maybe some more these lines coming down like this, and the rest of it just some verticals. That I'll imagine also some pillars here. I did see another photo where we had there was certainly some other pillars running down the side. So, you know, maybe one that runs down here, firstly, and it goes up like that. There. And we've also got bits of curtain that sort of drapes and runs through this section too. So that could be a bit of that red sort of curtain running through. This one could be as well. And again, opportunity comes to put get in another pillar running down. So we got a couple, two basically, one here, one here. Okay. Effective line. Finish that one off there. All right. Looking good. Let's get some details here. It's kind of, this is where it's facing bits of water and things outside, and put a kind of a area here, just a barrier, I suppose, and maybe indication of a building or something outside as well. Use 0.3, nice little 0.3 pen. So, making up some buildings off in the background, like that. Not a huge deal. Okay. Maybe I'll put in some kind of art or thing here. Okay. One of these Where is it? Smaller marker. Ones that I get in some detail easily. Just a bit like that. Do that even parts here. Well, this, the edges of these pillars. Okay. Might even use it to darken the top of this figure. This. There. Okay. I'll put in another one here. Further back in the distance. Darken off the legs. This. That it joins on a bit with that figure on the right. This one's facing, so a bit of detail for the shirt would be nice. There. Look how everyone is going. Let me know. I think I've kind of lost track of the time. Let me know how you're going in the chats. There is a question from Lucia. Lucia 𝗪𝗔𝗟𝗦𝗘𝗦. Hope I pronounced that correctly, Lucia. So Lucia says, do you pre-sketch with pencil or do you go all the way with the ink liners? Most of the time these days I go straight in with the ink liners. I want to challenge myself and also sort of get used to the idea of making mistakes. So, in this scene, I've just winged a lot of it. And you'll notice, over here especially, I drew that light in the wrong place, and you kind of have to work, kind of that idea of working with what you have. I really like that concept of, yeah. So I've been trying to do that a bit more, but there's no right or wrong way. I mean, if you're enjoying or you're finding it easier to actually go in with the pencil first, just do that. So yeah, I used to always go in with the pencil, especially when I started doing this, because yes, especially with pen wash, you do have to be a little more careful as the lines will always show through. But if you make a mistake, just go over the entire area again where the object should be and turn whatever the mistake was into something else, or just completely ignore it, and you'll be fine. So don't worry too much about little errors here or there. I always like to surprise myself and see what happens. So this area is looking okay. I don't mind that. So I'm going to continue on now to this side. And like I said before, I was kind of fussing about as to whether I should put in a pole here or not. I think let me just have a think. Decisions. We have one here. We'll definitely cut in front of that other figure here. Yeah, I think I will actually. Let's it might just kind of help with this sense of perspective. So look, I'm going to try it. I feel uncomfortable doing it, but whatever. It's not going to be not the end of the world. Okay. So I know I got this section kind of coming up here. That here, that, there, and again, it's going over the top of this stuff in the background. So I haven't exactly got this, I haven't got this right in terms of, planning it out all the way towards the beginning, but, that's okay. We'll make do. This figure, I'll just have to go over and hatch that down a bit so that you can't sort of see through it. But a bit of that section just going up like that. Okay, and I may regret it, but at least I won't regret not trying. Seeing how it looks. You can almost see how it looks like before and after at the same time. Yeah, it's interesting. So now that we've gotten rid of that figure, I think what would be nice is, well, what would look nicer is if I kind of maybe put another one here. I do want to get one a tiny bit closer as well. Something kind of figure like this. And using this, where is it? That funny pen that I had, 2mm pen. A bit more of that color running through for that one. And then scratch, just get a bit of the legs coming forwards here like that. And here, here. That's kind of overlapping with that figure behind. Okay. Create some interest. And like I said, again, this area here, we're not going to be able to do all that much with it. Just that this is going to then be an area of darkness here on the left. We have some light on the right-hand side of these pillars. I better outline this one better as well, so we've got some bit more detail in there. Okay. Yeah, these sections in the back here are pretty much the rest, all that we need to put in there. You know, these stands, they do have some legs and stuff we can indicate like that. But yeah, the bits and pieces here at the back, it's going to be quite interesting. If I separate it out into three, we know there's the roof kind of by sort of touches the bottom, the base of this this area here. So if I just draw a line running through the base of that section like this, so that I can separate out the roof at least. There's a lot of roof going on in here. Sure, there's even an interesting looking lamp here, which I'm going to put this in, like a rectangular kind of lamp, just on top like that. Got a line running down there, running down here. This kind of like a black line. To zoom into the reference a little bit more to see how it looks. There's a dome sort of shape up the top like this, and then it kind of goes up into the ceiling, something like that. Stuff at the bottom as well, which I can't quite see exactly what it is, but something like that should be okay. And I quite like these actually, and I think I'll get another one in, just smaller one here in the back like that. Okay, like that. Good. Righto, so we'll divide this section into three. So the first section kind of will run down here, or maybe here, and then the other two sections will be kind of split up into two here. So we'll have a bit of this pillar running like this, comes down to this point in the middle like that. There, oops, there we go. That part of that pillar, and bring that all the way down. That's one pillar. We're going to get the other one in here as well, just to, you know, you've got these curved areas up the top which just come all the way down and join up at about halfway point. This, yep, And then a bit more detailing on the arches. Like this. Oops. Right. We'll just bring this pillar all the way down as well. Okay. So we've got all that sort of done now. All we need to do is just to put in the it's this curtain, this red curtain. It's quite beautiful. The reason why I was drawn to this in the first place, actually. So, in the wind runs all the way through, and where does it even finish off? Let me think. This here. What have I done with this line? Okay, let's see what's going on. Yeah, I shouldn't have drawn that line there. It should kind of be here instead, but that's okay. I won't see that later. Pretend I didn't do that later. But I'll hatch away just to show you the area of darkness that we're going to. So that pillar here is going to be completely darkened down on that side. Okay, that right hand side there's going to be some light, and then here as well, we're going to get some shadow on the left hand side. This bit more, bringing that all the way down to the ground like that. Okay, and pretty much that's just going to be, we're going to have some areas of red here in the background, but not that section here. Here we're going to have a curtain running to the left hand side of that pillar like this, and that just disappears off to the back like that. In fact, actually it's sort of open up halfway like this, so we could yeah, we could get in bits of the background and things here, just kind of a bit of light maybe running through. And I'll also look at some of the rooftop details on the rooftop as well. That real basic. Now, if you don't need to do this, you can just, get in that rooftop in pretty much almost completely black or darkness later on. But I'm also trying to practice these little, yeah, just try to get some more dimensionality into the roof. So interesting. Oops, this should actually be going upwards. Very hard to see actually. Yeah, doesn't matter. Just a few line work running through like that. Fantastic. Way down behind. Looking good. Now I think that's almost almost done. I don't think really of much more to add in here. For this little sketch. The big thing is just preserving those reds, and I think I might make this one red well to kind of match up with the others. And yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. You can just go ahead and add in a few more bits and pieces. You can add in some more figures, a bit more detail on them as well. Maybe some more hair. Not a big deal. It's just trying to. Oh, this is a head or something, isn't it? There. Righto. So I'm already just going to get started on the painting. I can't think of anything else that I want to add in here for a simple little scene like that. I mean, on the ground, perhaps We could put in some bricks. About the only thing that I can, I guess, think of for now. And the way to do that is just to draw a few little vertical lines like this here, and then these turn into like blocks. Those so little lines on the ground. That could be a block. This there, that could be one here. This could be one here as well. And I don't really know exactly the size of these blocks or like that, but yeah, just some more. This is just creating a little bit of detail for some of this foreground. I don't want to overdo it. Yeah. More. Another directional line running in from that side. Okay. Alrighty. I might give this a crack. Got another lantern, little lamp here actually. We got 3. That. Copy that one a bit. Righto. I'm gonna have a look at how. Let me know how you guys are going, and yeah, this is a very difficult one. Margaret says it's a tough, hard one to draw. I'm on my iPad tonight, and my eyes aren't as good as I would like them to be. Yeah, this one's pretty difficult as well for me to draw. It's just there's so much going on and so many overlapping shapes and things like that. And I've also used this as a way to experiment around, and let me see, I've made a few mistakes myself in areas. So give it a try. I think it's the overlapping shapes. These curtains and the pillars are tricky, and just getting some figures and a bit of life in here. Certainly quite a challenging scene, but I think we can make it work. We can get in some segments of light running across here, kind of exaggerate that feeling of light on the ground and on some of these the stalls, market stalls and things like that. So the main element of light will be coming from here, and maybe also a few from the pillars running across the ground here as well. We're going to have some light here for the shades, curtains, and then darkness here for the roof, and then a little bit of light, a little bit of yellowish color there for the little lamps. So let's go ahead and give this a crack. Margaret saying, happy with what I've done, but I am out by a lot in the middle. All right. So yeah, do you mean you've kind of got a few shapes in here that are a bit off in the middle, or you've kind of shifted the scene a bit more to the left or a bit more to the right? Look, the reference photo is it's just a small chunk. It's almost as if the photographers cropped the scene or something like that. And yeah, if we drawn it in just as it was, I feel that there's just so much more to be in terms of composition, that we can improve it. So even though maybe technically this is not the best technical drawing or what have you, I think the composition actually looks better here than it does in the reference photos. So it's always good to give things a try. And Yvonne's here as well. Yvonne Ulma says good morning, and good to have you here. Good to have you here, Yvonne. It's sort of opposite times of the day. Yvonne's one of my patrons. Let me know how you're doing. If you need any help, or if you're struggling with this one, just leave a chat. Margaret says yes, too big a space in the middle. Okay, yeah, with the if you've got too much in the middle, you can also add figures and things to sort of overlap and cover up on areas. Like I've got quite a few overlapping shapes running through, and that kind of helps sort of bring things a bit yeah, kind of distributes the details in here. So I reckon I'll get started now, and I will just grab out a large brush. Now I've got myself a mop brush, and I'm gonna pick out a lot of colors, just warm colors to start off with. That also includes the red for the curtains, and we're gonna give this a go. So let's go ahead and grab some of a little bit of the yellow first. Yeah, so I'll start off with some yellow on the ground, and we'll work our way through. A bit there. This is a bit of that quinacridone gold color that I have. I've also got some neutral tint in here as well, which I will just draw it down a bit further to the ground. But I do want some of this light and yellowish sort of color through here. And then I'm going to mute it down with some of this buff titanium color as well. Okay, so that it's not too saturated in that section. Okay, so just cutting around bits and pieces. You know, good idea is also to get in these pillars and things at the same time while you're, I guess, painting this scene. So there's a couple of those pillars like that, which I'll just go over the top of. Here, let's bring across some of this area of light here, some of it over the top of that, top of this stand as well. Kind of thinking whether we should have the light coming in on a bit of an angle or just completely straight. We might have it come on a slight angle so then we can get more light on top of this area there, all the fish and bits and pieces. Just drop in some colors here as well. Maybe, and I've got a bit of neutral tint, bit of color running through here. Okay, like that. There. Okay. And bring that all the way down to the ground. A bit more here. Some warm colors. I'm just getting in a quick area of warmth. These pillars as well. Just a couple of brush strokes will do the trick. That. And there is that pillar. Get further back in the distance, it doesn't matter all that much. Bit here, bit here. And I'm doing this so that when I go through with the red, it kind of melts in a bit more so that it's not just a, yeah, just not a dark area that sticks out. So a lot of wet and wet work, which I really enjoy doing. Oh, darkness here, some areas. Just a soft, it's kind of a soft shadow, I suppose, here at in the front. And just do that. Coming through from the side like that. A bit more on the ground. And coming in like that. Fantastic. So we've got some softness, not just complete sharp sort of shadows running through in areas. Now, smaller smaller flat brush, I'm just going to go pick up, round brush, pick up this red and drop that straight in. And that's going to mix in again, like I said, with the some of the poles and what have you. Now, this is a really dark sort of area of red as well. So the concentration of paint is almost it's almost 3/4 paint. So I'm just bringing that down so that we have, again, just a mixture of this running through. If it mixes and melts into the other stuff, no big deal. Okay, so just cutting across around some of these figures. It's not going to be perfect. That, yeah, cutting around that lamp as well, like this. Yeah, yeah, there. You know, this is also another section like that. There, there, and there. Great. Now, look at what else we might want to put in. I think I'll actually get a bit more red running through this section, just coming almost right up to that pillar, like that. This one too, darken that down to that red color, and yeah, just sort of get it to mix in a little bit with the pillars while we can, like that. There's also some here that on the side, which I'm just implying going to come in from that edge like that. There. Now, having a look what else we could put in here. I think that's looking pretty good. I will, however, get a bit of this yellow, this quinacridone color, and pop that in for the background, and a little bit of Naples yellow actually. Water this down a fair bit, like that. And I'm just going to carry that across these buildings there. You know, some of these, what are they? Little bits and pieces, bits of wooden areas here at the back as well. I'm just doing. Now we need to get in some blues, and I've actually got some lavender, which I feel is going to be quite a nice color to put in for some of the stuff that's going on. So I'm going to go and pick up a bit of this. I've got myself, where is it, number 6 round brush. Okay, lavender, which is kind of purplish lilac kind of color. I've also got a bit of cerulean blue. So I can just use this. Let's see what this looks like anyway. There, yeah, just putting that through some of the areas in the back where it looks like we've got some the sky and stuff peeking through there. It's really just a cool sort of color, and I like how it granulates as well, so I want to just try that and see what happens. There, a bit there, maybe a bit here, in here as well. There, 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 all the way around. That, yeah, I can grab a bit more darker sort of color and drop that in here as well, the base, so it doesn't just look all the same. That mixing is so important. In fact, this area here should be red, but I've not gotten it in earlier, so some red there would be good. The other thing is that the top section of the curtains are not really that red. They're kind of darker in the edges. So if I have a bit of time, I'm going to actually just do that now. Just drop in a bit of that darkness while the paint is still wet. And I'm off in the edges of them, like that. There. This is just neutral tint. Off in the edges, like that. And just let it kind of melt in. Do its thing. Soften off some parts there, soften off. Okay, good. I will put a bit of yellow in for these lamps. Well, just a little touch of yellow. Okay, good. And the rooftop is really just pretty dark. It's just neutral tint, a lot of it running through there. So let's give this a quick little spray up the top. If I can get in some little bit of water. Oops. There, just join that on. Have a bit of brown in there as well. That. But really, the roof is pretty, it's almost the darkest section of the whole painting, apart from some of these shadows and things later, further down on the ground. Yeah, darkening off. Trying to get a lot of this stuff to blend and mix together as well. And also we've got the challenge of joining on this pole, which we're gonna, I think, be able to do essentially at the same time. But I just want to get that roof, a bit of that rooftop in quickly first, and I will leave some areas of whites in there too, like that. Get some bit more of that brown, a bit of that brown in there. Like that. It's really kind of, it's cool neutral tint. Now a bit of this hole is going to be darker. Just using some bit of this bit of brown color. It's actually a color called 𝗤𝗘𝗦𝗦𝗘𝗦 or something. 𝗤𝗘𝗙𝗦𝗧𝗏, which is, yeah, like a brown sort of sandy color. Picked that up the other day as well. And I'm just going to draw this down. Same with this side, leaving that right hand side of light on as well. Okay, leaving that right hand side area of light. Come down like this. Mark that bit up a bit. It's okay. There. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll start putting in just a bit of color, I think, just to the figures, and maybe we'll go with this color here, which is like just a blue ultramarine mixed with a little bit of the lavender color for that figure. This one here, another bit of that bluish color, maybe some purple running through as well. Bit of purple here for this figure. That, bit of that purple. Here. Darkness in here for that one. Oops, too much. Now I'm going to get in still a slight warmer wash on top of these and some of these bits and shelves. Yeah, just I guess the areas where the shopkeepers are selling things, because we've got some reflected light. Not blue in there. darkness on that left-hand side. That figure. Now I'm going to go ahead and do these shadows, these sharper kind of shadows. And again, this is just, I'm making this up as I go. So we can have a bit there. We can also have a bit here running through like that for this pole or what have you. Well, so just get that running through like that. There, I think perhaps a flat brush. Got one. Where is it? Oh, that brush. Yeah. Another sharper looking shadow here in the foreground. That just disappears off like that. Okay, good. There. Shadow that sort of comes off like that. There. Not a perfect sort of shadow, but does the trick. Bit there, running through like that. You know, a bit of that one for that pillar, running over to that the left-hand side. You notice as well on the left side of these pillars, you're going to get a slight darker section like this, just like that going on. Darken off more of these pillars. Okay. Oops. I didn't want to do that, but it's okay. It might just look a bit like a bit of some wear or something on that. Great. Another thing I might want to do is also play around with some darker shadows, some soft darker shadows. I'm just going to refill this spray bottle. Give this a little spray in some areas. The sharpness of these shadows is bugging me a bit. We need to get some more darks here on the left-hand side. So a lot of this, again, it's just neutral tint with a bit of ultramarine added in here. And there's a bit. We also can get maybe this section of like a shadow here, just cutting across like this. And this kind of extends out as well. I want this pillar to have a larger sort of shadow, maybe forming here as well. There. Okay. Section here is going to be a bit darker. Just want to darken off that section. Good. Maybe here in the edge as well. And then just a bit more of that shadow. Okay. Shadow. Looking interesting. Double check to see what is happening. We're all caught up in the chats. Nikki's here as well. How you going, Nikki? Nikki says, good morning all. Almost 5 a.m. here in Georgia. Jeez. You're pretty keen, Nikki. I'm actually a bit tired today. Thought I'd do this. I thought I'd do this one anyway, but yeah. I don't think I'm at my best at the moment. I haven't had too much sleep last night, but you know what? Show goes on. I always wanted to do this scene, and I've actually done a quick little pencil sketch of it before too, in order to prepare myself a little bit, but I haven't actually painted something like this before, and really like these red drapes. I think they're amazing. So down, and I'm just actually trying to darken off, create a bit more contrast with some of these pillars. Bringing some of them down. I've just noticed another area of red there just needs to be put in. That, and maybe a bit of lavender here as well for this section out in the back, like that. Soften it a bit there as well. Really just this nice interplay of warm and cool colors going on. And I'm thinking over here, I also need to add in a little bit of color. Maybe some ultramarine in that section. That really a lot of this stuff is just red running through. Okay, we're going to give this a quick dry, and then we'll go in and add in the final finishing touches. Really the only thing we need to do is just look for some, extra shadows even underneath these shops. We could do something like that, for instance. But apart from that, really, it's we've pretty much got everything we need in here. Yeah. So I'll give this a really quick dry. All right. Now, what I want to do is for the last section, really, of this, or the last part of this scene, is to get in all the really dark areas, and it's kind of tricky. This scene is certainly challenging in terms of there's a lot of mid-tones in here, and so we're having to simplify them all down, but still preserve some of these shapes in here. Another thing you can do is if you want to lighten up some areas, you can put in a bit of water in a section like this, a little bit of water. So for these lamps, I do want to just lighten them a touch. So a little bit of water in there, and mix it around a bit, and then just lift off lift off like this, and you're able to get in, or basically get in a slightly lighter area. And if you want to increase the contrast as well, saturation, you can put in a little bit of this yellow and get it in, that little bit of lemon yellow, just a light wash in some areas. Okay, great. So I'm going to go in and put in some figures, some of the details on the figures. A lot of this will just be really pure neutral tint in areas. Okay, so let's have a look what we can do. Righto, so I know we can probably get in a bit more contrast somewhere around here. Edges of this curtain like that. There. Pillar there, just a bit more of a darkness running through like that. And there's also some, you know, of these little lines and things on the roof which we can draw out a little more contrast on. That. Okay. A lot of this is already in. It's just emphasizing what's already there. And even the pillars, you might want to get in a little bit of dry brush work like that, running along parts of it. This, you know, a few bits on the roof there. It's all just neutral tint. The lamp as well. You can draw out a bit more those darks in the lamp. Again, just neutral tint I'm using. Yeah. And, you know, bearing in mind we've just also gone over it before with that yellow, so it will mix around a little bit. So just be careful. And it goes up into the roof like that. Some details now for the figures. You know, we got a bit of darkness for this one there. The shirt or something, and then I can just pick up a bit of neutral tint and, you know, put in a leg there, another leg there. That's a figure. This figure here as well there. Just going to darken down his arms a little so that it looks like he's got this jacket or whatever on, like that. Some bits and pieces, darks inside here as well. Okay, that. It's underneath that section. The pillars, I do need to darken these down slightly as well, but I want to preserve some of that nice creamy color in there. So trying to be careful as well. A little bit of darkness in there. Okay. Bit here for this figure. The legs as well, underneath like that. And that gets that figure in one go, really. This one on the left, I can just darken down slightly the legs. And just put in a couple of marks like that. There. Stalls and things as well. A little bit of shadow in areas, maybe underneath the stall like that. You know, a bit like that as well. Don't overdo it, but feel like this shadow should be slightly darker though. Just gonna redo it quickly and draw this one out more, just make it come forwards more. Okay, like that. Just more darkness at the base. Okay. Just dry brush on the ground too. Dry brush. The figures do have a bit of a shadow as well, so we do need to put on something like that for the figures. Just a bit of neutral tint I'm going to use there, just something like this. That figure kind of comes off more in that angle actually. This. One. Joins on with the legs. These two as well. There's some shadow for that, whatever this is. This figure here, that shadow running to the left. Hair on the back of his head. Maybe a kind of bag as well. More hair. There. There. Bit of red. Faces. There. Okay. This looks okay. Not bad for a first attempt. I'll definitely give this another go some stage in the future. But I quite like how it's actually turned out. Yeah, it's more of a simple sort of sketch, but you know, there's definitely the compositions. I do like the composition, so you know, there's a lot more that can be done with this. I'll work on it longer, a little bit longer, especially if I give it another crack. These little marks as well here, they kind of just draw out the, what do you call them? These little bits and pieces that are holding up the lights. So they add more verticals through. So these black areas that I'm adding in at the back, that's what they're for, just to create a few verticals running through. Yeah, like I said, these pillars in the back, they do need to be darkened down a little bit more, but you know what? They do look okay. They still look fine. Because we're trying to imply a bit of that light coming over from that right-hand side. Cool. Let me know what you think if you're watching along, or if you're watching, afterwards. I'd like to hear how you think this, how I went with this one, and certainly it's quite a loose sort of scene, but I'm liking the colors. I probably would have used a little bit more cerulean there, but I've never used this sort of color scheme before, so it's always good to give things a go. Just give something a try. Cool. Let me just have a quick look at how we are doing in the chats. Margaret says, I love it. I think it's my best yet. Awesome, Margaret. Such a beautiful scene. Yeah, upload it. I would love to see what what you've come up with. I can't remember if you mentioned if your last one you were worried about your last one, it didn't turn out so well. So I'm happy. Apologize if I'm thinking of the wrong person, but I'm happy that you like this one, that it's turned out okay for you. So um, I actually like the composition of this, and sometimes uh, you put it away and you look at it afterwards. You know, might be leave it away, put it away for the night. You come back to it and you like it a lot better actually. So righto. Few more comments. Lindsay says, thanks, I'm going now. Appreciate your time. Thank you, Lindsay. And yeah, post your results. Would like to see how you go. Matt says, wow, I was skeptical with the reference photo, but the sketch turned out well. In fact, it's better than the photo. Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a few things I reckon I could have improved with it. Um, especially with the light and the figures here and things. But afterwards, I'm going to go through and get some bit of white gouache and stuff like that. Yeah, but as a nice little compositional sketch, and especially the shadows and this red, I really love how that red's um, turned out. So often something like this can turn into a larger painting on a bigger scale, and sort of forms the basis of another project. So that's why I love working out of sketchbooks. There's just no pressure. I don't feel like I have to come up with something that's revolutionary or that even looks too good. But obviously, for you guys watching, I want to make sure that it ends up looking like something. I don't know. The first one, I feel I've gone a bit too loose, and it's just a bit all over the place. But I do like the trees, and I use this as a way to practice the areas of these grass and little bits of foliage and branches and things like that. Shadows look all right, but the path itself is probably needs to be defined more. Uh, yeah, but there is some shadows, bit of stuff going on in there. It's good bit of practice. If you're looking to do a kind of yeah, I guess a loose forest scene, which was suggested actually. Um, so this one's, yeah, I'm quite happy with the composition of this one. I think areas of it here, yeah, if I concentrate a little bit more and spend a bit more time with it on another sketch, I think it could turn out more detailed, but definitely something to expand upon. So I think I might actually finish this one off a little bit earlier for today. I think I started actually around 5:30ish. No, 5:45ish. So I'm gonna make a few more videos, another few more sketch videos. I'm making another class at the moment, a line and wash sketch class. So yeah, and I've got a few more I want to upload to YouTube as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this this live. I do have other courses as well. You can check the link in the description. I'll put the courses up there if you're interested in learning a little bit more. Kate says, thank you. Next one will be better. Yep. Yeah, look, it's all just practice. It's all just practice, and doing scenes that you haven't done before as well. These weekday ones that I do are always, I try to put myself out of my comfort zone and do things that I don't usually do as well. And you guys can see me directly on camera. You can see me stuffing up and panicking in some areas here and there. But when you look at it from a distance, I can say this one's turned out quite okay. So it's always, finding little ways to put yourself out of your comfort zone. That's the only way that you can improve. Because if you paint the same things over and over, yeah, you get good at painting that. But then when you're faced with another situation, can be quite tricky for you. So think that's about it. There's also a comment from Donna Louise. Donna says, thanks so much for your time. I really enjoyed these while I got ready for work. We'll try later. Awesome, Donna. And join our group as well. There's a there's a bunch of there's a bunch of a lot of members on there, which will sort of give feedback and support each other, and always keen to see what you guys come up with. Uh, cool. So I think I'll finish this one off, and thank you again for joining. I will chat to you all and see you all next time.